No, but I mean, on a serious note, I mean, if you really add
Hmm.
two and two together, you are going to get a group of numbers that just
Yeah.
don't make sense.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's you really have to think about the collect because you're grouping numbers to group other numbers, and
And
that's
then
that's
there's
where
the
you get
whole
yourself into
prime,
trouble.
and
Yeah,
there, and then there's the division and the
man, don't
coefficient,
don't
and
even get me started on those prime numbers. You know what I'm
dude, and then
saying?
especially if you start doing a bell curve on that shit, man, dude, I mean,
Oh,
us,
dag,
we just got
yo.
demonetized.
That's what I'm talking
We
about.
just
Hey,
doing bell
everybody.
curve.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody! Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. Did you miss us? Did you miss us? We were gone for a Now we aren't gone for a whole year. We just haven't seen you guys. We haven't talked for actually, yeah, we haven't seen. I haven't seen your face for a year now, man. It's a
I
long
haven't seen
time.
you since last year. Is the
It's
last
tough
time I
times,
think I
man.
remember talking to you, what was that,
On
like
the Vivo
2023? It was a while ago.
23.
So,
That's a tough year.
yeah.
That's a tough year. That was a
We
tough
told that
year.
joke and immediately lost 2 viewers. So, ah,
That's how stuff goes down the tubes, man. You gotta hold on. Let me retweet this real quick so I can get people to join. Oh man. Yeah, the shows. Yeah, we're always great. Like I schedule these things hours ahead, but I forget to tweet. That's just
I'm going to post on Threads because the algorithm there certainly won't sit on a new thread for hours and not show it to anyone until we're off air. That's
that's
certainly not how social media would ever
well,
work.
actually. So this is what I was actually thinking about doing. I think what we should do, we should link up our best of our week Twitter channel, to a Twitter account or X account, and we could co-broadcast there as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think we could broadcast up to 3 stations,
Yeah,
or you know what I
I'll
mean.
leave that one up to you. I have really enjoyed having nothing to do with Twitter for the last several weeks, and I don't think I'm going back. I'm only going back now to hit like private messages and see like, oh, I'm so sorry, someone wished me a Merry Christmas and I missed it by like a whole week to let them know like,
Mm,
hey, I don't come here anymore. There are all these other places that we could talk instead because I'd
I
really rather not support this platform in any way. I will let you tackle what you feel we should do with some of that. But I
we're he-
like I
we're good. We're here. We made it to another year. We're a year older. No, I don't know. We're not older yet. I am soon to be, but not yet. We'll
mhm.
have to see how things are. But yeah, man. It's. I mean, I enjoyed last week. It was kind of like a little bit chill. I know we skipped the podcast, but it was more of just relaxing, taking it easy, not really stressing over too
Yeah.
much, and um, put up one video, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Keychron video, the
Mhm.
keyboard, which
Yeah, it was
Omar's
good.
enjoyed quite a bit. Isn't
Yeah, I
that
mean
weird? Like when you get something and you're reviewing, and somebody in
it's
your
like, wow,
family
this is
already
really
had,
cool.
yeah, they have their eyes on it already, so it's like gone before it's even done.
Yeah.
So it was one of those. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying my OnePlus Keychron keyboard. So I got the OnePlus
Nice.
keyboard, and I think the folks over at Keychron liked it, that they wanted to work with me again. So they sent me the Q1 Max. And I think I'm getting the Q5 Max very soon. I
Brilliant.
don't know. There we are. It's a good. They make solid keyboard, like
Yeah.
seriously
You're gonna
solid
have like a
performance.
whole collection of them by the time
By the
you're
time
you're
this
sort
is
of
done,
through this
yeah, I'll be
topic.
like,
Yeah.
I'll be like gifting people on like birthdays and stuff. Here you go. What is this? It's a keyboard. Shh, just take it. It's not.
It's a
Uh,
good keyboard.
It's a very good,
Enjoy
the,
it.
the Q1 Max took over what the OnePlus does. They added 2.4 gigahertz support on it, not just Bluetooth. So the functionality for low latency when you're playing games, especially like if you want to connect it to the TV and do a whole bunch of stuff, really,
Hmm.
really good. Large battery, the same solid build. And the one thing that Omar loved the most was that the knob on the top right, where for
Yeah.
volume and pause. So for him, he just basically plays it up there. You don't have to go fiddle around with buttons and stuff. But I like it. I like it.
Perfect.
It's a solid piece of tech, and it's absolutely fantastic when you discover how
Hmm.
nice this type of tech is, because he was used to waterproof keyboards for the longest time.
Yeah.
I'll say that we've had
Those
accidents.
membranes. Yeah.
Yeah, at his age,
Kids
he was
kids
younger.
are
Yeah, man.
maybe you say it like that. It's like, oh, Omar's had some accidents. And you're like, Did he pee on the keyboard? Why do you need waterproof? Why are you saying it like that?
It
As I
sounds
reach
that way.
for
I didn't mean it
a
that
large
way.
glass of
No.
water that I'm
It was a
certainly not going to
large.
spill all
Yeah,
over
it was.
my keyboard right now.
It was a while back. I think I forgot what it was. I think it was probably like 5 or 6 or something. And we had, remember, like where there was a while where we had these. I'm not going to call them like a mini laptop, but they're like a foldable clamshell style laptops, but they're intended just for media consumption. I think it's like they're. I forget the name of the type or the style of the portable thing. Long story short, we had it on the kitchen counter. He was watching some stuff on it, and then somehow, and the whole thing went up. You know, it was just not happy with water. So from that day, I learned, all of his accessories need to have water resistance. So his keyboard and mouse were both water resistant, but they're horrible for gaming.
Yep,
and the last few weeks, he's been stepping up his gaming experience, man. He's up on we got him on Rainbow Six Siege now. So I was, it was the closest thing I can get him to COD without getting him on Call of Duty.
Sure.
So it's a little bit slower. It's more tactical. He's not playing, ranked yet. He's just playing just a standard. I think that 5v5 type of thing. It's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing too that Fortnite is not.
And what were you playing this break? What occupied your time?
I will say Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3.
Really?
Pretty much, yeah. And I finished the battle pass.
Wow.
I'm playing zombies. I'm playing Vertex right now. It's like I mean, I'll say this. There was obviously a lot of time where we had just downtime, want to relax and stuff like that. I was still working day job during the holidays, so I didn't take any time off. With all the other time off that I've taken during the year, this is like the one time where it'll be super slow. I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, it's like I could take vacation days, or I could just not work at work.
Yeah, I mean, it actually is very, very slow. But like between Christmas and New Year's, it was so cool. The first 2 days of the week were Christmas, and because Christmas landed on a Monday, we get 2 days for the holiday, so we get Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday was my normal Friday off. So my whole week last week was 2 days.
Nice.
It was like, why take 2 days?
Glorious.
Exactly. Save those 2 days for CES. That's coming up next week. I'll be back for our show in time by next week.
I always love kind of adding into my CES registration because I'm not going. I really tried to make the trip work, and it's just not going to work. But I registered and everything just in case anything changed up into the last minute. And
I got mine.
I love I always love clicking like go ahead and send me press emails, and my inbox just gets murked the month before. I think our friend Adam Dowd posted something similar to this on Threads, but I'd like to echo that sentiment too, where if you're trying to set up your booth tours now, you're probably not doing so great at the PR game for CES. I feel
get a lot of
most people are hitting the ground with their schedule pretty well set by this point now.
Oh, absolutely. Especially the bigger firms and stuff like that. And for me, my schedule's been set for... Actually, the schedule's been set for some time, but I didn't realize, speaking of the registration, so I submitted my registration back in November, like early November, and I thought everything was fine. It was going in to get approved, whatever. Yeah. It sat there the whole time being reviewed. And I didn't get I take it back. I think the email did come, but I didn't see it, or I missed it somehow, that they needed more information for my data and, my cover page and stuff like that. And I didn't see it till I tried installing the CES app early this week, and I was trying to log in, and it just was not working. So
that'd have been the worst to hit the ground running in Vegas and be like, no,
the whole thing would have been totally out the door, because I would land there on Saturday or Sunday, go in for media day, and they're like, sorry, dude, nothing.
You're not on the list.
Yeah, not.
I'd love to let you in, but you're not on the list.
Luckily, I submitted it, called customer service, and then within 24 hours, I got it.
That's good.
That was a stressful, 24 hours.
Yeah, I feel like CES, for a while there, like up to the pandemic, they were getting really persnickety about like, well, you need to have this many millions of views in this kind of channel, or you need to write for this kind of organization. And then the pandemic hit, and the sort of reason for trade shows has kind of hit back a lot harder. So now I feel like CES is kind of back to, hey, you want to talk about CES? You could come talk about CES. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Please. No, I mean,
let's do that.
What I forgot to do is I sent them like information on the socials and stuff like that, but I didn't send them my analytics for YouTube because they need to see traffic. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I mean, long story short, we're cool. There was a stressful 24 hours, and I was like sweating it because, look, although most of my stuff is off the show floor, but I think a couple of the shows events that we go to, like Showstoppers and Pepcoms, and stuff, they need to see your CES badge. They don't just give you theirs, but it's usually put on top of, you know what I mean? Like it's more like, you got to be cool to partake kind of thing. Anyways, so long story short,
although I'm sure like if there had been something working, the people at Pepcom and Showstoppers know who you are.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that one would have phased them at all if you'd shown up and been like, hey, there was an issue. Here's my driver's license. You guys know who I am. It would have been fine. And in fact, something like that, they are probably way more reasonable about coming up with a conclusion than someone at CES would have been like, Mo.
It's like, TK, who? What do you say? ¿Cómo se dice? No, it was like I said, it was, I don't know how I missed it, but it was like one of those weird things kind of going on.
So that's what I think is kind of frustrating is I didn't have any issues like that, but I went through the registration process and it was really vaguely open-ended. It's like you fill everything out and then you get there and you're like, so I'm done? I guess I'm good. Because you just gave my email out to a whole bunch of marketers, so
that's right.
I guess that means we're fine.
Exactly. Yeah. Once you get all those emails, so after I got approved on Monday or Tuesday or whatever,
boom.
I've been getting. Please come over and check out our booth. Get a free pop or whatever. Not a pop socket, but like one of those back things in there. It's like
those are kind of making a deal again. Like a whole new setup of those just got put in at our local Target.
I picked up
of all
for Anya,
the accessories
because she charges hers in the car all the time.
Socket.
So, but hers is well, actually, I can show you. So I took her old case. Oops, sorry.
Oh,
so hers is the fixed one, right?
Sure.
So it's always connected, but unfortunately, this does not allow you to charge.
Right.
Sony, of course, now zooms on Samsung. Thank you, Sony.
It's very helpful.
And now it just doesn't want to do. Oh, here it is. So long story short, the new one I got her is very much thinner, even thinner than this profile, and it's magnetic. So we have that. We put the magnetic tape, the ring on the back. But yeah, no, I spent my holiday time fixing a whole bunch of stuff, rebooting, formatting, cleaning some devices, and salvaging this S23 Ultra that I messed up by. Side loading the One UI 6 beta without being part of the beta, and then I never got an update to get out of the beta.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. It was a
pretty
fun
cool
time.
Yeah. But, I mean, for me, it was. I'm not doing a PC rebuild yet, but I really should start putting one together. But I'm working with the cats over at NVIDIA, so. This is like the last good upgrade I can do for this system is swapping out the GPU, and then otherwise I'm kind of maxed for what my workload looks like. Like there's no point in
big component that
sure.
I mean, a lot of the stuff you do is on the GPU. So the reality, you need that.
But it's I have nowhere left to really upgrade. Like I've got a Threadripper 2970, so the only CPU upgrade I can do on this motherboard would be to go to a 2990.
Okay,
and that's a really expensive upgrade for a couple more CPU cores. And that's not going to do much in my workflow. I could add more RAM. I've got 64 gig of RAM. That's not going to do much for my workflow. I could go
You're not even probably using all. You're probably running like around 32 to 40, something, depending what you're doing. Yeah.
Well, there are lots of things that like to eat up RAM that I've just gotten into the habit of like, well, I've got all these CPU cores and all this RAM. I guess I'll do this other stuff while I'm also editing a video.
While Chrome, that just eats
there's really like nothing else. And this generation of GPUs is probably really like the 40 series is like the last kind of gen of GPU that I'd want to put on this motherboard. Yeah. Like I'm getting into issues with power rails compatibility. You know, just literally the sockets are changing for how we manage all this stuff. So it's the can this GPU save my workstation kind of video. So we'll see. I'm going through the last little bits of testing now that it's in there, and it just really does kind of highlight, like, man, my Threadripper system here, not a great game benchmarking platform. It's a performance per watt that really doesn't make sense for someone like, I know what I'll do. I'll play games on a Threadripper. It's not really how we do that.
It's a different beast. Definitely more functional on multi-thread functionality, but you could definitely, you could still game. I'm not saying it's not gonna play.
Oh, no. It does fine. But I'm looking at things like believe it or not, I might be sort of CPU limited, like on games like Control.
Oh.
Like I have more testing that I need to do, but I'm not seeing the kinds of gains I would expect going 2 generations newer on a GPU.
Oh, that's right. You went from the 20 series, right? You didn't go to the 30 series like I did.
Yeah, I didn't play anything with the 30s. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm running the 4090 for since middle of last year. That took me some time to get into it, and once I got the system stable, but I can't run 64 gigs on with the setup that I have. I keep crashing for some reason. It's DDR because I'm still running not still because I have DDR5 RAM. And for some reason they haven't worked out the mechanics in there. So I'm waiting for a few more software updates. But at 32, even with 32, it runs fine. I surprisingly rarely ever jump over, but Control is. Like, I'm surprised at that level of issue. I was going to say level of control.
I've got some theories, and I need to do some more testing, but there will probably be a video out, hopefully sometime next week, talking about what that's been like. Because that's what sets some limits. Like
Cortex software, do you? Razer
Cortex.
Razer software. You don't use like a Razer accessory or anything. Okay, then you're good. For me, I've had some issues playing or doing stuff when Cortex is running. It somehow
no, nothing like that. I mean, I've got a lot of MSI kit, so I'll run Afterburner. But I am trying to use Firestorm just because that's the software that's sort of built to come with this. So we'll see. But I'm hoping it'll be kind of a fun way to sort of kick off just an expansion of some of the things that we're going to be talking about this year. Not hardcore PC building and testing. Like, I can't go and be a gamer's Nexus or a Hardware Unboxed. But from all the little mini PCs, the project builds have been really fun. Yeah. So I'm going to be looking at how to do a Google Photos replacement. I did my video about what's the laziest way to fix Plex. Just throwing compute power and really inexpensive compute power at some of these problems. So I'm hoping that's kind of a fun way to tackle some of these conversations. Just I miss some of those Newegg projects that because I'm not there.
You guys were
got to shake it up on my own.
Knee deep in builds every week with components.
Oh, it's so great.
Stuff like that. I know. No, I remember the days, man. I miss you guys being there. You and Trish up there, really nice. Yeah, I know.
So I'm definitely trying to get back to a little bit of that, but obviously both of us are still super into mobile. I think I said hello, welcome to this being a tech podcast. Probably missed our normal terrible intro. But you've been playing with the phone, and I've been playing with the phone.
I'm very happy to see that we're both finally playing with the same amazing phone.
It's a pretty cool phone.
It is a kick-ass phone. It is my daily driver phone now. I have
switched.
Ooh. I have switched to the Vivo's.
Did you tell Android Basha that that's what you were going to do? I haven't really watched through the video.
With you mean
Salah?
No, so because okay, so the video that Juan's talking
about. So you're
a
liar, is what you're saying.
No.
Is that you lied to our good friend?
I still use the Find X6 Pro. The Find X6 Pro is my phone of the year. If I have to say there's a phone
that's not the video criteria. He's asking us what phone are we going into 2024 as our daily driver, and you just admitted that your daily driver is the Vivo X100.
I just switched to it. I did carry it with me, but I just
So literally tens of minutes into 2024.
and I switched.
I feel like that's on the legal precipice.
There's some absolutely legal gray matter going on right now, and I will have to apologize. So I
mean,
because
my personal is I said I was gonna try and rock a foldable, so I am trying to make OnePlus Open the go-to. I'm gonna pick it up. This is where my personal phone number is actually sending calls and texts and things like that. But I have an eSIM in the Vivo, and it's making it real hard to keep reaching for the Open.
What happened to me? The biggest thing that happened to me is so the Find X6 Pro and the Pixel 8 Pro were running my data. I have both because I run two devices, work and personal. So the phone that we're looking at, Juan's putting up on camera, is surprisingly. Okay, so but I had a really bad start. This was the biggest problem. So when I was first recording the video for Salah, because remember you had to submit this thing, I think like probably end of November, probably
beginning of December. Yeah.
My initial reason. Okay, so by the time I got the Vivo, as you remember, and even my video, my phone wasn't running right. I had glitches all around, and I had battery issues. So
yeah, mine got delayed in customs. I didn't get it till like a week ago. So I'm way behind everybody else.
Although I wanted and I had a lot of aspirations to it, the Find X6 Pro still beat it for me in not only just function, performance, camera, and I still use it. This is the thing about it. The Find X6 Pro is in literally performance footage is almost in almost all my videos from 2020 since I got it in April. So to say that that there is a phone that I'm carrying with me that I'm going to keep using outside of taking the Pixel, which I'm going to transition out of,
is technically correct. Yeah. The best kind of correct.
Yes, and that was the intention behind what the Find X6 Pro, because I also did another collaboration with another tech YouTuber, Ehab, that asked me, it's like, which was the one phone that kind of like you liked but kind of messed you up a little, like they kind of put you in a weird spot that you kind of liked, and the Find X6 Pro is also feeding into it, and it's purely because of it's a great phone. It's an amazing phone. Great cameras, good band support, but it's not an international version. It doesn't have full Google support. I don't have nearby share. Some of those things that I rely on to use are not there. This is literally where the Vivo just checks off.
It's just coming and swinging.
Yeah. Absolutely. The 9300, once I got that software update, it fixed the glitching. So that was one. And the other software update that you and I were talking about when you got that one in the morning, fixed my battery problem. So the battery, for me, for some reason, I was running through massive battery.
This is, and it's the international. It's an international model. I'm assuming we'll probably see some kind of Pro Plus just for China only later on in the year. But this is the first.
It's going to be the same again. Yeah.
This is the first import running a MediaTek that has had reasonably good band support for both of our suburbs.
I was going to say
on T-Mobile's network.
I picked up.
I'm getting 5Gs.
How did that work? You know what I mean? Like last year's Vivo didn't, and that was a Qualcomm.
So the last, I mean, like the international Xiaomi 13.
The 13 Pro
had pretty reasonably good. So that Qualcomm radio has been in good shape for international 5G. This is now starting to feel like the first year where these imports on both sides, the Qualcomm and the MediaTek side, are decently supporting at least T-Mobile bands. I'm not doing anything else on like AT&T or Verizon right now.
No, I put in my AT&T SIM card in, and I got a text from AT&T saying your device is no longer supported. Please upgrade to a newer device.
Their system, their whitelisting system is draconian. Where AT&T used to be one of the best.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I would get like Korean LGs in, and like AT&T would just fire right up. Well, this is the first year I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable saying like, there's better potential here where you're not just going to be stuck on LTE. We don't have full band support for North America,
absolutely,
but it's been real good. I mean, both of us are pulling easily 100 megabit per second downloads in reasonable sub-6 coverage. And that's kind of about what I can count on for my North American regioned phones. So this is a big step. This is a big step, not just for Vivo, because I've imported Vivos before on Qualcomm chipsets. But this is, see, that's
30 up.
That's great.
That's on the eSIM. It was not on the AT&T band.
Yeah.
So this was just me running eSIM. Yeah.
So I'm very encouraged. Whatever MediaTek is doing with their radios, it seems to be opening up a lot of support for. And this also just helps if you are in a region where you're shopping Vivo natively.
Mhm.
If you go and travel, your phone will likely have better support in more regions around the world for all these different flavors of 5G.
And I think this is the nice thing about it. And for me, the reason why I like this conversation, I was trying to lead into it, is the last 3 years of CES, because of some dude named Juan, I've been using Vivo phones to cover the event. It was the X70 Pro Plus, the X90 Pro. No, was it Pro Plus that you gave me it was the Pro Plus.
Yeah. I did the X70 Pro Plus was the first one.
And then we did the X90 Pro last year. And this year we get the X100 Pro. So I am set. I think my CES coverage is going to be continuously going there, because it's that good of a phone. It's that good of a camera.
I have the X90 Pro here also. So I recently wrote a first impressions just on the photography for the X100 Pro. And I also did publish my benchmarks. So all of the video rendering and podcast mixing and all that stuff, all that's on the Patreon. One of the things to spoil part of that conversation is it took me a long time to kind of get over what the X90 Pro wasn't. Because it's not a Pro Plus. And what they omitted from the Pro Plus felt like a more significant downgrade. Not just the ultra wide, because the Pro Plus is the quad camera setup, and the X90 Pro has this portrait sensor that I don't think it needs, because it also has this crazy 1-inch sensor that looks great when you do a 2x crop. So the X90 Pro to me is a very odd collection of compromises, where the X100 Pro, it's probably not going to be as good as a Pro Plus model might be later on in the year.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I'm sure they'll put other things in there that are gooder, but there's almost none of that feeling of it being a compromised phone just for a nicer phone to exist. Like, this thing goes toe to toe with the camera sensors and the resolutions and the capabilities of a Pixel 8 Pro, while it's also rocking the most powerful collection of CPU cores we've ever seen in a phone. The 9300 feels like a generational jump on the 8 Gen 3, which is a pretty good generational jump on the 8 Gen 2.
The 8 Gen
this
3
is shocking.
So the iQOO 12 has done. It was very, very surprising, and it was very nice.
Yeah.
As a
and thank you for letting me borrow that, by the way. I need to get that back to you. I guess maybe we'll meet up after CES, and I can hand you back that phone.
We'll have to make a special delivery. Well, no, definitely. No, but what I meant to say is that the iQOO kind of kicked me off with a really good impression of what the 8 Gen 3 is going to do.
Yeah. Now, it's a solid performance upgrade. It really is.
We already know that January is going to be plastered with 8 Gen 3 devices. But that's beside the conversation.
For sure.
The biggest thing I say, when I got the 9300, my issues were concerning, because I felt like I had a faulty device. I felt like I had some kind of a hardware issue. And luckily, it was absolutely software. And I wasn't the only one, just so you know. Quite a bit of people with the Chinese variant also had similar problems. And some of the people that was even talking to me on Twitter and so on, that they were like literally ready to return the phone. Like the day of packing, they got the RMA. They were going to go pack the device, reset it, update pushed in, and then they finally became functional again. Once I got over that, it has been surprisingly... It's surprising good. And it's really nice. It's fluid. It's really fast, good. It's responsive. Okay, I'll say this.
Whenever we say things like fluid, fast, and responsive, I know you're digging into this. I'm just
with a custom launcher. I'm not talking.
I'm still catching up, but I ran like the silly hardcore tests that I run. I need people to understand. This is a CPU core configuration that is not dissimilar from what companies are trying to put into tablets and Chromebooks and laptops. Like, if you look at this chip opposite something like the Snapdragon 8CX Gen 3 that's in the Surface Pro 9, or the Robo Ancala, this is a chip that's a chip that's designed to do battle with like an Intel Core i3.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's not going to displace a MacBook, but it's a chip that is an astounding performance per watt in a desktop space. And the Dimensity 9300 is kind of murking it in a phone with a much smaller battery, much smaller surface area for thermals, for cooling, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this is an order of magnitude. It's a generational jump for anything that's CPU bound, not GPU bound, because I still think Qualcomm fights really hard when it comes
Adreno
to
versus no. I think
Mali
Adreno
the
versus
GPUs.
No, absolutely.
But the second you throw a CPU bound task at this, there's nothing that is touching. I've never seen performance like this that fits in your pocket and doesn't melt your hand when you try to hold it.
It was also the thermals have been definitely much better, much better
than I was expecting.
Generationally, the 8 Gen 2 was better than the 8 Gen 1, and the 8 Gen 3 and the 9300 are all benefiting from the fabbing and of course the way we have everything set up. The thing that surprised me the most when I say fluid and running. Even some of the best devices on the market, what I've seen from at least companies like Samsung does this thing when you install a custom launcher, there's somewhat of a delay in the performance. Like the UI doesn't it doesn't run fluid as it should be, and you get used to it because I want to run Nova. I don't want to run One UI. I mean, I like One UI, but I prefer Nova. Nova for me is it has been the one app that I've bought in my entire existence on Android that has paid itself over and over and over and over with every device that I go to. So when you run it on, let's say on there, you notice some devices, let's say with Moto and even with Pixel, after some time, there's some glitches.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know if it's Android 14 specifically or just basically, Juan disappearing on me, but it's one of those things where
I'm still here.
Oh no, I know. We just your face looks a little bit pale. I just wanted to let you know.
I've been having this issue with my camera not wanting to work. I might like jump in from like a phone or something just to see what's going on. But it keeps locking up, and I don't know why it's locking up. We're doing it live, folks. We're doing it live.
It's an interesting UI though. The default camera face in there has an audio ring around it as you speak. It expands and it shrinks, so it's doing something. But what I meant to say is like even the Pixel 8, okay, and the 8 Pro, right, or even the Motos that I've used early in the year, they're great initially, but Moto for some reason is sticking to a lower amount of RAM, which I feel like they need to jump up a little bit higher.
It's so rough, yeah.
And when you try to run Nova for an extended amount of time, you have multiple apps running, a lot of things running in the background, you will tax that system. 8 gigs suddenly becomes kind of a constraining experience. Where Pixel becomes a little bit more frustrating on my side is it's not locking up the UI, but it just doesn't draw the UI correctly. Like I'll click on a folder and supposedly it's open. The shortcuts are in the right spot, but I can't see it. So I ended up having basically to close, open, do a whole bunch of things for it to kind of draw. The Vivo has been running really nicely for me, and I think overall the support, the band support, the storage, I'm glad that it's also 512, where with the Pixel I'm having to delete so much off of it. I really should have just switched into a 512 or a 256. I think 128 is just too constrictive when you're shooting a lot, when you're taking a lot of pictures, when you're doing
work. We should mention that when Vivo sent out some of these devices, that they are the top spec versions of the X100
very thankful
Pro.
That they were able to accommodate.
Sure. But the point that I'm getting at is the top spec version of the Vivo X100 Pro, if you import it, is currently on sale on GizTop for $899.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a phone with 16 gigs of RAM and then holds another 16 gig on your storage as a swap space with a 120 watt charging interface, a 5,400 milliamp hour battery, a trio of brutal high resolution cameras, and 512 gigs of storage for $100 less than what we would expect a good version, but not the best version of the Galaxy S24 Plus.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be the S24 Plus. Will be the
That's
Plus.
insane.
No, it's crazy. Dude, the GizStop sent me an email saying that they're selling the OnePlus 12 for $100 off.
Yeah.
Like, prices are starting to go crazy. Like, I mean, obviously, we don't even have the 12 in the international market yet.
The phones aren't even technically out yet.
Yeah.
The price is already going crazy.
That's the level of like why a lot of people picked up the Vivo X100 Pro. I mean, because it's such a solid recommendation. Like there's a
Yeah.
few devices in 2023. I'll say the X90 Pro was a decent one. The Find X6 Pro, if you want to import and deal with the whole import process, that would have been one of my other one. But honestly, the Xiaomi 13 Ultra and the Vivo were the two best recommendations because they were international, they're available. You can import them and customize and use them fully with all the functions. And I'm really hoping with all the rumors we're seeing with the Find X7 Pro that it ends up being an international model, because if they're trying to do the whole 1 year on off kind of thing. But yeah, no, these devices are crazy good. And I wish there was a desktop mode. That's about my only wish on this. But that fast charging in the morning, dude, I wake up, plug it in, it's done. I unplug it and it's off the charger for the rest of the day. Yeah,
it's really good.
I'm gonna say Fun Touch is not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. But once you run, Nova on top of it in the front, it's usually pretty easy. But
so,
yeah, no.
I'm glad, because like I said, I think last year, there's nothing wrong with the Vivo X90 Pro. The Vivo X90 Pro is a fine phone. And it does some things that, again, in a price to performance kind of comparison are very encouraging.
Yeah.
But
I played with the X90 Pro Plus, dude, at Vegas.
And the X90 Pro Plus just gets that little bit more excitement on what... Yeah. See, I'm going to be really curious now. So let's say there's a Vivo X100 Pro Plus.
Yeah.
Do you think it makes any sense to switch over to a Snapdragon? I'm really torn on this idea because I think they actually have an argument to be made that the MediaTek is the more powerful device. Yeah.
It's a tough call to make because we've seen them do that, right? We've seen them typically pull for the Snapdragon being as the most performer, and I don't know if it's a price performance. I don't think it's a performance issue. I feel like there's somehow something to do with the label of the SoC. For some reason, MediaTek and and Qualcomm are still seen as one and number one and number two. It needs more time and more companies to start venturing. I mean, we have more devices, absolutely way more devices than we had in the past running MediaTek chipsets. And we're talking about like the 800, the 8000 series, the 7000 series, and obviously the 9000 series that we have. The 9300, I think right now we've seen one. I think Xiaomi more than likely will release something at some point with a 9300. And
yeah, I mean, that makes sense. But what I mean is internally to Vivo. Because internally to Vivo, I would have to imagine that there's still probably a cost savings going with MediaTek over Snapdragon.
I would imagine
so
absolutely.
For your parts list, that means you can spend more. I mean, again, let's say this is going to ballpark for being around a $1,200 phone, depending on region.
Yeah.
Now you're not spending that extra $10 per unit on an 8 Gen 3, and you've got all the benchmarks to say that it's the most powerful chip with the Antutu and the Geekbench scores. And that means that's $10 per unit you can put into another camera sensor or faster RAM or different storage or something like that. So that to me, I feel like iQOO should stick with Qualcomm and Vivo should move over to MediaTek.
No, absolutely.
And the X series can represent that photography focus. It matters a little less to me if I'm 5% behind in gaming when the V3 chip and the CPU cores are just indomitable right now.
So that was the thing that I appreciate about it, is that we do go to the V3 on the Vivo, where on the iQOO we weren't. There's a big difference in the color science and the image processing that we got there. Our buddy Nick Gray's in the chat also kicking with us and saying here while we're talking about MediaTek.
What's up, Nick Gay?
Who fabs the MediaTek?
It's TSMC. We good with TSMC.
It's the same fab, the same factory, the same molds. No, not the same molds, but similar.
You know how we do.
Similar structure. But yeah, no, nice to see you, Nick. Hope you're doing well. Actually, I'm going to hopefully be seeing Nick in the next couple of days or so as we're all headed to this, technology mecca kind of thing, CE in the S kind of thing. But
is Nick going to be at CES?
As far as I know, I think
Nick,
so, right?
That's Nick Gay, not Nick Gray.
Oh, Nick Gage. I am so sorry.
You got to check your prescription there, buddy.
Hold on. Let me go blind. No. Absolutely.
I mean, not to say that we wouldn't want to see Nick Gay at TSMC. I'm just saying.
No. We are one.
I'm almost positive that's not who you think that is.
No, it is. You are absolutely right. I am missing one letter. Nick, I do apologize. I mistook you for somebody else, but I appreciate the question. But yeah, it is TSMC, and you are correct. I am blind. No, but
no worries. I was looking out for you, though.
I appreciate it, but this is one of the reasons why I typically don't engage a lot with the computer's sitting 3 feet away, and obviously to make it look like we're looking at each other, I'm always looking at the camera. I'm not looking at the screen. So my camera I should probably put the camera or put the display, the computer in front of it. But short story is, it's Nick Gray that I'm going to see. Nick Gay, I'm not sure if he's going there, but if he is, please, hit us up.
And reach out to TK because we would love to meet up.
I'll be the guy would love to meet up with you too. With smartphones, not cameras, to cover. No, seriously.
And especially Vivo's in the field because
Vivos
I'm have a lot to say.
Vivos and Oppos are going to be running, and I'm literally running and gunning of these things. But so I'll say this. On the telephoto between the Vivo and the Find X6 Pro, I'm still a little bit leaning towards the Find X6 Pro on the telephoto. This just, to me, it holds a very special spot the way that it's been done on Oppo. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, the X100 Pro, from when we first saw it, and we saw this funky version of what they were showing us at the summit, to what we have right now, and with a few updates onto it, I'm very very happy with the way it's performing. And finally, the team over at Vivo, the PR company, was very nice and helpful, trying to help me troubleshoot all of that. And once the update came in, so now I'm actually trying to finish up my review. So some of my review will also be covered through CES, which is one of the reasons why I haven't pushed out a video for it yet.
Yeah.
I did the initial, first 72 or 24 hours kind of thing. That did well, and we'll do the video for that very, very soon. So yeah. For sure.
So yeah, I felt bad because the Vivo PR team was like, "Oh, are you going to do a video about this being the best phone of 2023?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, I don't have it yet, and second of all, it's
a 2024 phone.
We've kind of done a video about how we're calling it a 2024 phone." I don't need to explain all that.
We have to get through this year of adjustment for the whole timing. I mean, Samsung just announced that they're launching their Galaxy in January. It's a whole month earlier than they used to do it before. OnePlus, I think we're going to be seeing very, very soon. I'm pretty sure. Xiaomi, I haven't heard anything. I'm kind of surprised. The 14's been out for over a month. I was expecting by now that we'd have a global launch, like somewhere. You know what I mean? Like
they're playing that one pretty close to the vest compared to Vivo, just sort of coming out swinging.
But Vivo did that as well last year. I feel like the X90 Pro that we got last year did come around about the same, because I had it with me. And is that you connecting multiple times?
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm going to try and reset here. So for just a second, you're going to see this other version of me, and then I'm going to back out and come back in real quick.
I'm going to remove you from here. Oh, okay. Let's bring you back. Are you in?
Hey, how's that? Yeah.
That's actually much better. Visualize. I mean, we definitely have a beautiful.
We'll let that. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can just jump right back in though, because right now you're just on the phone mic, and I don't want there to be weird echo. Like here, if I think I turn you up enough so I can hear you,
okay,
you might hear yourself.
No, there's no echoing on my side, but let's see. Hopefully we can.
That's better. And let's see if that works.
Welcome back. Except that I think we need to mute.
Okay.
Another dude.
So I'm almost positive this camera is going to lock up again at some point.
No, well, you're still connected on the other one. You're
I know. Yeah. We'll just do that as obnoxiously as we can, where I'll pop in and pop out as quickly as I can.
This is going to do beautifully on the audio version of the podcast.
I'm not editing any of it. It's all going in there.
We'll leave all of the bloopers in there.
This has been the best.
Good.
I love it.
I think so. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's very promising as a device. Gaming, obviously, there's no question. It handles the gaming. I mean, for me, I already think we're overpowered.
Well, what have you played on it? I don't want to spoil our videos, spoil our reviews, but like I've now switched over my my game benchmarking, I was using Bright Ridge for a
Okay.
while. It's a very old sort of PC style graphics settings, but it's sort of PlayStation 3 era polygons and graphics and stuff. But it's a really lovely sort of fantasy exploration type of game. And you could see like there was this generational shift. And I want to say it was kind of as we were getting into the 8 plus Gen 1 where it just didn't matter anymore. Like you could go full resolution 1440p gaming, it's easily pegging like 50 to 60 frames per second, and then the game's just done. And so now I've been looking at other, like, what do I use to benchmark? And I don't play Genshin, so that means that's the only game that's ever worth talking about in
It's more
Android phone
on
reviews.
how it pushes the device to, like, it literally drives. It's for some reason it's so not optimized for anything that it just anything you put it on, it just drives it up. It like heats up and stutters after a while. For me, it's typically Genshin for the stress test. How long
Okay.
can I play Genshin before it starts borking?
I just feel like it's we're setting Android up to fail when we know that the developers of Genshin have not optimized it nearly as well as they have for iOS. They don't
Absolutely.
support things like controllers or alternate input like they do on iOS.
Yep.
And yet we're still seeing phones beat the iPhone in top tier performance for
Oh,
Genshin. Like
Yeah.
to me, it's like, why not try to find games that actually are really well optimized for Android and then see some crazy performance metrics from these new, like, because again, I said this in my little Patreon post.
Yeah.
This isn't really much of a spoiler here, but on paper, we're talking about GPUs in phones that are battling somewhere in between a GTX 1050 and a 1050 Ti. Like, those are 80 to 100 watt GPUs. And here's this little phone chip that is scoring very similarly in terms of raw performance, in terms of raw horsepower
So
there.
for me, the biggest challenge right now is a couple of things. A, the device hasn't been out for long. And I say this specifically because even some of the editing tools that I'm trying to use to benchmark the performance on it don't recognize that it can actually perform or that it can render 4K. Like, it's weird. Like just whitelisting almost like the device is so new. So when I try to benchmark it, although I realize that Genshin is a it's kind of like you have the deck kind of stacked against you on that one already. You know, going into it that there's typically going to be something that's going to borg it. How well does it handle it and how long does it go is a typical indicator for me of the stress test of how long I can actually get it through. It's not much. I know it can run the game. And if I don't run it in high resolution at 60 frames per second, it runs it for quite a while. There's not an issue.
Right.
And the game plays well at 30. The 60.
No, 30 frames per second is garbage. I can't do it. Can't play games like that.
30 FPS.
I'll explain why in a second, but please continue with Genshin.
I'm with you. But so for me, Genshin's always been that type of test. The other test that I like to do is consistent back-to-back matches in Call of Duty and PUBG. Those are the extended.
See, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah,
I know there are a few other folks out there that actually look at this stuff, but we never see. You know, like you look at like Geeker Juan or Golden Reviewer, and for some reason, the game they all think is the one we need to apply as the primary metric is Genshin. If you gave me performance per watt metrics on something like COD, that makes perfect sense to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Fortnite, what's the other sort of battle royale that's not as popular, but it's kind of like a distant third?
Oh,
anyway,
there's another one.
Apex.
Apex. Just came
out. So, like, I just don't understand. I don't play those games, and as we've seen before, a phone that can run Genshin really well might totally tank on something like Undead Horde, where you're talking about unit management less all of the fancy GPU for graphics. You're having to manage tons and tons and tons of individual characters on screen. So one of the games that now I'm switching over to is I feel like I need to represent something either first person or third person, like I was using with Bright Ridge, but Bright Ridge is just completely outclassed. Like it's not worth benchmarking anymore. So I've shifted over to Alien Isolation.
I was about to say Alien Isolation because I remember
the user Sparta over on my Discord hooked me up. I mean, there was like a whole Reddit post about it, but now you can go into the sort of optimization settings for Alien Isolation. If you get Alien Isolation, just install it on Google Play. It's going to play well on a Snapdragon 855. It's going to hit 30 frames per second, and it's going to be locked at 30 frames per second for mobile. But if you go and edit their preferences file, you can kick that up to 120, and oh my God, does that game look amazing at average frame rates above 100 frames per second on phones.
Oh, COD plays so much better.
Stunning.
Oh my God. You drop the resolution a little bit, but you go high frame rate. Those are the games.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
And like with you there, because you can also set your scaling.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, I'll max it all out. I'll say 100% scaling, 100% resolution, and 120 frames per second. And an HN 3 and a Dimensity 9300 will both average in the high 100s, like 105 to 110. But then if I just reduce the scaling a bit, yeah, the graphics do get a little softer, but you're just pinned at 120 frames per second on twice the frame rate of what like my Steam Deck can accomplish on this game. I don't understand. I don't understand getting so flipped out that like generation over generation, we've gone from 57 frames per second in Genshin to 58 frames per second in Genshin. Whoa, what a great performance improvement on a game that it looks good, but it doesn't look amazing to me for it to be playing that poorly on current generation chips.
And I think it's going to depend on what game, the type of games that you play. Like if we had to bring in my son into this conversation, his style of games would be, you know, Dragon Ball Legends, Brawl Stars. It'll be basically Fortnite. Those are the style of games he plays, and those are the thing about Call of Duty and PUBG is that they've optimized for mobile on Android much better within the last year or so.
Yeah. It got real good.
90 frames per second PUBG in there. And I'm not talking about New State. I'm talking about the OG PUBG.
I've been getting like 90 frames per second on 2023 mid-rangers. So like not even the best, like what 7 plus Gen 2, like
they
legitimately 7, 7, 8.
Optimizing. Yeah, but that's what it
is.
So
good.
I remember how many years ago was it where PUBG was on was with Nvidia or something like that, and they said something about that they're going to be trying to go to give us 90 frames per second consistent across mobile. Sony had that locked in for quite some time. They initially started with COD and then they went over to PUBG. So they gave us the high frame rate, but then now we're seeing it on other devices. So the moral of the story is, yes, maybe there is some advantages to going Qualcomm over MediaTek, but picking the devices, either one, I don't think you're going to be finding the noticeable difference in performance that will be like, oh my God, this definitely not working for me.
Yeah.
The horsepower that we have on these devices is way over what we need, especially for the games that we have. That's why I want to have more functional options. I want I want desktop mode. I want better decks, stuff that allows us to actually move. At
least the small saving grace that the X100 Pro still supports video out.
Oh my God! Yes.
Man, I wish we had some kind of functional, because it's not even it's like on my X90 Pro. I'm running the beta on the X90 Pro.
Oh, that's right. You switched over on the Android 14.
What little support Google has included for the Android desktop mode is completely non-functional.
They're not focusing on it.
The X90
it's
and
not
the
a priority. It's
not only not a priority.
Yeah,
it is more broken than on other devices that have had Android. So
they managed to take that 2-step back now. One
yes.
step forward, 2-step back. I'll say, okay.
Yeah. So if you enable it, it's not that you get a wallpaper and you have no app drawer. That's kind of like the OnePlus flavor of this experience right now. Yeah. If you fire up desktop mode on a Vivo, you get plain blank white screen of death. It's not functional. It is completely broken. So it kills me because like there is laptop grade compute power in this phone. These CPU cores are indomitable. This is Core i3 performance in your pocket, operating at under 10 watts. Like,
and I'm appreciating the larger battery this year as well. That's
oh, you need it.
We're starting.
That is yeah.
Yeah.
That is one of the concerns I had, was that this phone will run toasty, but it is nowhere near
I know
the
we
kind
talked
of.
about it at the summit when they first announced it to us, when we first saw it.
I was getting real anxious because both you and I mean, so definitely check out both TK and I's channels, because we have interviews with different groups of MediaTek executives talking about this development process for the
I like how they
Dimensity
split it between the
9300.
two of us. We had a good mix between the two.
I feel like we got the wrong teams. I feel like your questions would have been better for my team.
I know.
But between the two of our videos, you have one functional interview between with MediaTek executives.
I hear you. I'm with you. Yeah.
But I was really nervous because I kept asking very pointed and targeted questions. You're telling me the Dimensity 9300 is more efficient because it will complete a task faster and then go back into a rest state faster. And I've never found in desktops or in laptops where that really holds true, because you give someone more compute power, they tend to try and use it. Yep. And so when I'm running these longer sustained tests on the 9300, there is still some concern on power draw, how it's hitting your battery, how the phone will get warmer. This is nothing like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. This is so much more functional.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's so much better. And I'm not concerned about this phone maybe melting solder. You know?
You won't be able to cook me breakfast, huh? I get it. I see how
nope.
it is.
Well, you still got to invest in a separate hot plate.
Oh, dude. Okay, I'll have to say, I miss hanging out in Vegas with you and going to grabbing something to eat and just kicking it, man. I gotta find a way to teleport you over one of these days. I'll say this. If you do change your mind, my room has 2 beds. I think, as far as I remember, that's how it's a 2 queen. I think the room I'm getting, so yeah. If you do change your mind, you want to hop in for a day, you got a bed. Let's just say that. Just
thanks.
You
man.
drive your stuff. Yeah, I'm serious. There's a lot of things going on, but what I will say is, the things that I'm excited for. This is actually the first time I have a couple of collaborations going into CES, which is the first time. I typically don't. I only have just personal coverage. And those two are going to they're going to require me to be on the show floor, which I typically don't go. Is it weird to say that I go to CES, but I don't go to the show floor as much as I should?
Not anymore.
No, a lot of my stuff is done off the show floor.
So you take the meetings. This is actually still a thing back when I was at Pocket now, is they would split us up. I mean, they would send me to the show floor so that Jaime could go handle the important meetings. Yeah. But the sort of the meet and greets, the really important pre-brief stuff like that, that's all done in hotel rooms off the main show.
CES
experience.
Starts on Tuesday. I'm going Sunday. There's a reason for that. and we also have like the off the show floor events like Showstopper and PepCom. Which to me, weirdly enough, are way more important for me than. Because CES, okay, so let's be realistic.
It's a show within a show, and you get much more direct
way more. It's
access.
Concentrated, it's focused, it's a small area. You can cover it in a couple of hours. CES is just a monster, okay? CES is spread over so much real estate, and not all of it is even next to each other. Some of it is in a different hotel. You got the Venetian, you got the convention center, and then again with the different spots, every place, because not everybody can make it into CES where they don't want to go on the show floor. They'll run their stuff in hotel rooms, so you have to figure out where to go. And this is where it becomes not to say a frustrating, but a scheduling nightmare to try to figure out what to do. So I'm getting a lot of these emails like, "Hey, you want to visit us on the show floor? You want to do a whole bunch of stuff while Juan's coming back? Here you go. Hey, bud."
That's like I never left.
Absolutely. And I just okay, I don't have enough time to cover every single spot because one company will email me and they're in the Venetian. And to go from the Venetian to the convention center is approximately an hour to an hour and a half process on a good day.
If you're lucky. Yeah.
If you're lucky. So to say that you can jump from one, it's not realistic. So I'm very much picky with where I'm doing. I already have my slots pretty much just covered. My schedule is already locked in. Any minor changes potentially if anything kind of have to reschedule, but for the most part I'm locked in for everything.
Yeah.
So and not only just the stuff at the show, whatever I need to do on the show floor, but off the show floor and after hours. That's the other thing. The CES days don't end at 6, don't end
No.
at 5 when the show floor start.
Yeah.
There's the after hour events. So that's the part I'm also excited about that as well, because we'll get a chance to see some of the more exciting personal stuff. We get to meet and refresh and catch up with people. Again, it would have been absolutely fun to have you with me, because we got to do more. We did a couple of trips this year. So last year.
I did a couple. Yeah. I was not actually planning on traveling as much as I did.
New York
so
was fun,
I'm hoping
New York
that was really cool.
fun. Those pizzas were nice.
So anytime you get like dollar pizza off the anyway, that's kind of what I'm hoping to sort of set the trend for 2024 is just getting out a bit more and trying to hit a few more of these events. For me it was slow, and it was like I've got to get back into travel shape. Where some of those first you're like, man, I haven't had to pack a suitcase in 2 years. Like not for work, like it's different when you throw some clothes in a duffel bag and like you road trip to your folks or something like that is totally different than like, how do I put together my tech bag now? So it's
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's been challenging. I think 2023 for me was a good practice run. I know exactly how I can travel light. I hope to be more specific and more selective in my travel selections this year, but I will say, it's a challenge. It's something you have to you really have to make a decision. Is this worth it to come with me? And I'll say this: smartphones replacing DSLRs make a big space saver in your bag. So
it's pretty sweet.
Can't go wrong. So no. So for me, primarily that's 90% of what I'm doing. I have a few things I have to meet. Our friends, our TCL is going to be hosting some stuff. So I'm excited to see that. And if anything does come up on your side, and if you can't make it personally, let me know. I'll go catch up. And
for sure.
Catch some stuff. And I'm probably, if I'm not mistaken, I think our oh man, I can't remember the name now. The laptop dock that we use. Oh my god.
Oh, Nex.
So I think Next is usually there. I see them every year at the event. So they typically are there with some new tech. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. And then actually, surprisingly enough, this year, I'm actually going to be pitching very hard for scooters and bikes because I actually now have a portfolio.
That's great.
I actually have there's a video that's going to be coming out probably tomorrow tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow is Saturday. It'll be my video for the week before he goes just super crazy and tons of content and stuff like that. A lot of reels are going to be produced there. But I'm looking forward to it. And again, if you change your mind, please let me know.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah.
I might hook you up. I've got a couple mini PC builders that I think they'll be out there. So I know that's something you have a lot of fun with too. So
I'm loving the little gaming options, and especially
they're so good.
They're getting so much better. That one you have totally looks like a tiny. I mean, it looks like obviously it is a tiny PC, but it's just the design, the setup for it is such a cool looking piece of tech that even if you had it on your desk, it wouldn't look like it's a PC.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? That kind of
thing. So that one is the unfortunately named WizBox G. It's not a great name, but that frame is really useful. Like it's a really handy mini tower. So I think that's the system I'm going to turn into the new file server. So it's going to handle Plex, and then also I'm going to use that to make my own version of Google Photos. So that way it'll point to my NOS. My NOS doesn't have to do any of that like AI face scanning, organization of photos, none of it.
Yeah.
So my NOS is just going to be a big lump of storage. That way when I'm working off of it, there's no CPU load on the NOS. But then I'll have basically a Google Photos account with like 40 terabytes of storage. So I'm really like the potential for these things as little headless home media servers is insane. The value proposition is just incredible right now.
The compute power, the functionality. I mean, for me, the Geekom still. For me, I still like.
The Geekoms are real good.
Really good. Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, no, I am gonna try to, at least on, because I'm there for 2 days technically. I'm there on Mondays on the 8th. I think 9 and 10 is when I'm there where the show floor is open. First day is usually crazy day, so I have things off the show floor, and then I'll go in the afternoon a little bit when it calms down. And then I want to go up to the Venetian because a lot of our PC tech friends are usually at the Venetian. They're not
those meeting rooms, like 3 stories up.
Like one on the side. Yeah.
Well,
you
and
go in
those
and there's
are
like 1 level, 2 level, 3
those
level.
are the best too when you get to see like all of the really funky like custom builds.
Yeah.
I miss having the producers
MSI, all the specialty,
well,
like
and
the
also
really cool cases and stuff.
well, and also the Corsair.
Lee and Lee, I think, if I'm not mistaken, also kind of.
The Lee and Lee cases are great, but Corsair started doing all of their own custom water looping kits. So it's not just hey, you can get this all-in-one CPU cooler. When they show off their sort of specialty systems that they have artists come in to make,
and the kits and their pipe and their specialty pipes, and then the heating elements, and just to kind of how to bend them and how to set them. No, I know I've been there. So I'll say this: Salah, our buddy from Android Basha, that is one of his biggest things that he likes to go to. So I usually like to hang out with him. I've seen Linus there a couple of times before.
For sure.
And, just kind of going in there and. I think it's just, to me, it's a fun thing to see. Realistically,
I'm just sad. It's been, I want to say it was Taipei 5 years ago now almost, when I got to hang out with the Gamers Nexus guys because I was covering the overclocking event. And so that crew did really, really well. I don't think they won that year, but they did really, really well. And it's the same thing. Like if you go to, I can't remember who did the last CES that we covered, but we got to the end of the overclocking event, and there was just a bunch of nerds with these containers of liquid nitrogen, which we should not have had access to. Just like, hey guys, what can we freeze and break? And we're like smashing stuff with liquid nitrogen at the end of this overclocking challenge. It was ridiculous. So anytime you get a chance to do that, well, one, just be careful because you don't want to like lose a finger or something like that. But two, it's gonna be a good time, especially if adult beverages are being served, because then people usually don't get dangerous, but they don't stay safe.
That's also the big part of it. There's so much stuff going on. I'm looking forward to, like I said, it's catching up with people, seeing people's faces again, seeing how the holidays have been. I'm going to try my best to try not to eat as much. Again, as I don't know if I mentioned it here, but I'm trying to go through a detox. I'm trying to do a detox of the system at the beginning of 24, just to keep myself up.
You might want to try my recipe for trade shows. The only way I can survive trade shows is by going vegetarian for the first 2 meals of the day.
Okay.
And then I'll allow myself, like, maybe I'll go off strip and hit that little taqueria as like kind of a treat for making it through the day. Yeah. But I genuinely won't survive CES if I'm eating bad.
Oh, so, absolutely.
Like, if it's like yogurt and a little fruit cup, that's about as much sugar as I'm really gonna look. It's like no breads, no pastries or danishes or anything like that. Lunch is a salad, and if I can mix in a protein, great. But if not, it's just like I need the vegetables. And then at night, because often we have those media events where it's it's a dinner. Or,
usually it will be then
I'll open up a little bit.
Like
but then the next morning I've got to go back. And like in Pepcom, it's like I just need all the little mini sliders. Give me all the sliders.
You go back.
I'll go back to that.
No, I know. For me,
but you should give it a try. Like I clued in on that almost 10 years ago, and it's really the only thing that keeps me on my feet when I'm having to do multiple days at a show like CES.
I'll have to hit it up. I mean, my thing primarily though is I'm also kind of much more limited in selection of food. I can't eat everything even if I wanted to, so like all the red meats, all the turkeys and stuff like that. It's primarily chicken and white fish. So from a protein style, I'm not gonna have too much heavy. It's more the carbs that I'm worried about. But
I just because I've given myself similar restrictions, and then I'll find the loophole. I'll out argue myself, like, well, it's chicken even though it's breaded and fried. Well, it's not red meat.
But it's on a slider, so it's okay.
Still chicken.
It's a smaller portion. with that really nice sauce.
It's a smaller quantity, so that means I can have 5 of them.
But that's how, no, but that, okay. So, okay. I know we started saying we're going to be healthy, and before we finished, we kind of screwed ourselves in the conversation. It is very hard, but I will say that yes, they make it very appealing, and it ends up being after a long day of 20 plus thousand.
Oh, you're
steps.
exhausted. Yeah,
you are exhausted. You're running on fumes, and you're trying to be excited. You're trying to be up and engaging with people. My biggest thing for me for the longest time has always been where I drink soda, and that is Diet Coke has been my drink. I can't drink Diet Coke anymore, and so I am going to have a lot of struggling of figuring out how to keep my energy up, because most of these places don't have coffee. They'll have soda, they'll have beverages and alcoholic and stuff like that, but I can only drink water and coffee. So there's going to be some challenges. I may have to bring my own little packets of maybe instant Nescafe or something like that, like the instant coffee to throw it in
the Trader Joe's instant coffees are pretty good.
Packets or
they do packets.
So those those are easy. You get a bottle of water, you put it in, you shake it, and that's it. It's an easy
room temperature coffee, but it's coffee.
Coffee for me. Okay, so I'll be very. I am not a hot coffee drinker. I'm always room temperature drinker because I don't drink coffee for the flavor in general. I drink it for the caffeine. The flavor coffee, the really good coffee
snob. Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing. The really good coffee that requires you to drink it, those are not the ones I'm drinking at events. Those are the ones you're just, again, it's more of a, it's kind of like when you're riding in a race, right? You're passing, you're grabbing the water, you're drinking the water, you're throwing it away. That's the intention for me. It's more
so. The other thing that you might want to just keep a stock on hand. I'm giving you all my tips here. The problem I have with coffee is it's a quantity of caffeine that causes a surge and a crash for me.
Yeah.
So you also want to look at some. You might want to look at some good black teas.
Okay.
So that way. It is a flavor. It is a beverage. It is something that your brain understands. So there's the psychosomatic aspect of, I know this is caffeinated, so it will have an effect on me. But it's not as much of a surge of caffeine. It's a sort of just enough to kind of keep nudging you along. And you're hydrating.
Surge too. I just flashed back to 1990.
Oh yeah, I think they still sell those in the UK. I'd really love to see what that's like.
There's Surge and then there's Jolt. God help us. Remember Jolt?
Jolt was just terrible.
I know, but it was like
it was just a bad tasting cola.
But
I don't know.
Supercharged with caffeine.
I liked RC, but I love anytime you can get like an old time.
Yeah, but RC you can still get. We have it. We have it here down the street from my house.
Yeah. I see. I like RC. It's even got just a little. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that. But a constant feed of something like black teas is a lower level of caffeine that's hitting your system.
Yeah,
and I feel it keeps you hydrated better. So that way, you're sort of energized over it's less of a spike. It's a more general curve to that chemical enhancement to your performance. So I mean, stuff like that. It's like, you've got to stay hydrated. Definitely keep a good stock of masks. You need all of the hand wipes and sanitizer that you can carry.
I'm bringing masks with me. Last year, the last 2 years, I actually kind of skipped them.
You gotta.
With the resurgence of the numbers that are going
COVID
around,
rates are surging right now. This is the second highest infection rate we've had since the peak of the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's just not
worth. We're gonna
have
people traveling internationally there, so yeah.
And it's just not worth getting a CES flu. The most deliriously sick I've ever been was leaving a CES, where the next day I had to do a casting. So I'm talking to voice actors with 104-degree fever, and I'm barely coherent. I have no idea like how I survived the day after CES, but even if it's not COVID, it's funky.
Our friends over at Kingston hooked me up with a CES readiness kit that included some vitamin C.
They do that every year. I love it. It is, and it's actually helpful.
Yeah, no, totally. Like the things in there made perfect sense for CES.
Yeah.
One of which I'm really, really happy about was this one. It's like this one, obviously, I mean, I'm not gonna use it, but it's a Kingston 35. It's a USB-A thumb drive.
Sure.
But it's cute. It's nice.
It's
and then
adorable.
They hooked me up with a whole bunch of memory cards and thank you, obviously, for them to hook it up because I'm actually going to be using the Osmo 3, the Osmo Pocket 3 as well, that
Nice.
I'm really happy with. But yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of content. I'm going to come back with probably like 50, 60 gigs of footage at the bare minimum.
Easy.
And again, devices like the Vivo X100 Pro, 512 gigs of storage, I don't have to worry about it. And here's the kick. If I want to charge it up, I could charge it up pretty quickly. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
The whole run and gun kind of thing at these type of trade shows, you need to be able to do fast stuff. And I can't handle like 30 or 45 watt charging. It's tough. It's just not feasible for what we do.
We also got into it a little bit with our good friend Adam Dowd. I was on his birthday podcast and he was talking about how much he likes wireless charging, and he's obviously incorrect. I mean, like going from your Find, the OnePlus Open, it is so tough.
Or not just
picking
that,
up
the Realme, the Realme GT5 had 240 watts. The GT5 Pro 120 watts. Like seriously,
it's stupid.
We are okay. So I think we've had enough. I know. Don't get me wrong. I understand the impact of fast charging and so on. Same thing on my car. You don't want to do it all the time, but I don't leave my phone on the charger. I do not leave my phone on the charger overnight. I wake up in the morning, whatever time I wake up, I put my phone on the charger, and I expect my phone to be ready before I get out the door. So if I wake up at 5 and I need to be out the door at 6, I need to have everything done. Everything's ready to go. And even if my phone is down to like 20 to 30%, the Pixel never charges 100%. This just never. I'm always having to put it on the charging pad in my car or whatever.
That's why I feel wireless charging has become this idea of convenience where you have to cover your home in much more expensive chargers that only support your phone.
Yeah.
As opposed to like having some good warp chargers from OnePlus where they charge your phone really fast and they can charge your laptop because it's power delivery. Exactly. So that's kind of like me and Adam were getting. You can catch that on Benefit of the Dowd. We had a bit of it going. I have to make fun of him a bit because his big thing was like, well, you need MagSafe, and you need MagSafe so that you can do things like have like a wallet stuck to the back of your phone. And it's like that's not wireless charging. You just want a magnet on the back of your phone. So I brought this up, but I didn't have it at the time. I did splurge on the wallet from Peak Design.
Oh, okay.
So I have a magnetic wallet, and this has nothing to do with MagSafe. It's just apparently we need magnets. You just kind of stick it on there, and it sticks into the case, and then you can, support the weight of your phone.
And it becomes a wallet. Yeah, no.
It has like a little bracket if you need it hard mounted to like a motorcycle or a tripod or something. So I'm not a big fan of the wireless charging.
I don't look for me wireless charging. If
I hate it. I hate it. It's the worst.
No, but I don't see it as a form of charging. It's really more of. I don't know how to explain it. Like I've never relied on it to charge a phone. It's too slow.
No, it's fear.
Even the faster ones.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, like, no. So, like, we'll for example, say, like, okay, so Honor makes some of the fastest wireless charger ones on the market, 100 watts wireless flash.
Yeah.
But proprietary charger, proprietary dock. You don't have both of those. That phone charges as slow as everything else. So. Those are functional solutions, and I love those solutions, but those are not solutions you can carry with you in the car, not solutions that you can carry with you everywhere. A phone, OnePlus, you take with you the charger and the cable, and on the plane, you plug it in. That phone charges up, boom. You at the hotel, wherever you want, you plug it in, it charges quickly, and it runs consistently at that speed. I think that's the biggest, the challenge that we have. You can safely fast charge your devices as long as you're not consistently just, drain and fast charge where the phone is always hot. If you put it right time, you wake up in the morning, you plug it in, charge it to 100, take it off the charger, and you keep it off the charger till the next morning, then you have good battery and your battery life will stay long.
And we have that room now where, we were getting dismal performance screen on time. During the 8 Gen 1.
Oh,
that has not been an issue with the 8 Gen 2.
It is hard 9300, 8 Gen 3. solid.
But tell me, I mean, like, because going from the H1,
I'll say that even with Tensor 3, still much better than we had before.
Doing much better.
I'm not killing the phone, but I'm waking up in the morning at like 10-15%.
Yeah.
Where on the Vivo, when I switched over, I'm running I wake up in the morning at like 47, 48%.
With the 5400 milliamp hour battery, it is a legit 2-day phone for my use. But where we were when the HN1 was getting like 4 hours of screen on time, tell me, like, it's not even worth doing battery testing because it is so difficult running the battery down now. Like really trying to drain the battery.
It's a challenge.
It takes forever.
To try to like, hey, I'm going to do a battery test. I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. Because you're going to be able to last for quite some time.
I have to plan 2 days ahead.
Yeah. It's a tougher choice. But I do want to talk a little bit. I mean, we covered a lot about the X100 Pro. We're talking a lot about CES. A couple of other things kind of going on just from a sense of just information. Samsung made the announcement that the 17th is going to be the Unpacked event.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see. And
I already have my hater editorial out because
already shot. Okay, good.
No. I'm not shooting a video. I wouldn't shoot a video on a Samsung. That doesn't make any sense. But I did write an editorial just talking about how they're making these big claims about AI.
So that was what I was getting into, trying to figure out like
the new era of AI. Yeah. And I don't see how that can be if they're going to saddle the S24s with 8 gigs of RAM. That seems. Yeah,
we already know, based on our conversations with MediaTek, we know where things need to be for the HN3, especially with the amount of AI focused stuff that they're trying to do. And I just realized, I guess I just got an update for my Pixel. Okay, great, fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I got my little January update.
That's what I think. I think it's like a 20 and it. Okay, I
24 meg.
It. Why does it do this? Why do I have to say resume?
I hate that so much.
I asked.
Hey, do you want to install this update? Yes. Well, we're going to interrupt it. Would you like to resume the update that you just told us to run? Yeah.
I'm the one who initiated the update, right? It's not like it automatically started by itself, right? I initiated the update request, so therefore, I think I want to do it.
Installation paused.
Paused. Yeah.
Do you want to resume?
Yeah. So yeah.
It's like the worst. Like knock knock.
Who's there? Pause.
Interrupting cow. Sorry, I didn't finish the joke because you already know the joke is where I move. That's apparently how Google is running their updates. But getting back to Samsung, I am very concerned because I feel Samsung will have a chilling effect on what we might be able to do with Gen AI because developers aren't going to want to make crazy LLM or image generating machines that don't run well on Galaxies.
No.
Because then you're going to have a whole bunch of Galaxy S24 owners who are like, it doesn't even work. Your app is dumb. And you're like, yeah, but you need at least 50% more RAM to do what we want to do. And there are all these phones that do that.
Well, but that's okay. That brings me back to also some of the things that we haven't seen Moto's new launches or stuff like that. But there's a good chance, obviously, they're going to come up with a 2024 edition of some of their flagships. Sure. And I'm really hoping that we're finally going to see the year where they jump off the 8 and go up to 12.
I hope so. It would be a benefit for Ready 4. Absolutely. It would be nice.
Just overall system consistency, performance, and especially when we start seeing some apps that are going to... The biggest thing that we saw with a lot of these AI conversations from all the, Qualcomm or MediaTek, is they were running models, large, LLMs in there that were not necessarily public release. It's not like I can go download.
Both of them were like doing stable diffusion work on device and trying to hit sub-second results with like 20 tokens.
Absolutely, but nobody's going to be sitting there and trying to do that type of rendering or request of on device off the internet. Render me an image of Goku jumping off a cliff.
I feel like you say that, but then look at how cranky people got with the Pixel, where it's like, oh, my stylized photo has to go and get backed up to Google Photos and then come back down, and it wasn't on device for me to get 3 options of a mediocre edit to my photo.
So there is, and I find that to be more of a business decision. We are talking about, obviously, when we're talking about Google, when we're talking about Pixels, Pixel is an extension of Google. Google is services. The reason why Pixel runs the way it runs is because of the services that Google runs. It took us how many years before we had the assistant built in on device or the voice dictation on device? Those are things that used to be all, I mean, they're still actually for the majority of devices, all server based. So I agree with the performance. I agree with the flex that we're able to say, yeah, we're running stable diffusion. We're running, I think Qualcomm's biggest flex was, I think, at the summit, where you would take an image. Let's say you took an image, a 1x1 image crop, and then you zoom out and you do generative fill on device. Those are things that absolutely makes perfect sense. Google does that very well as well. The challenge, and why I got a little bit persnickety about the whole, on server side, is because I was traveling with it. And it suddenly became non-functional for me because I was a metered international connected data. I'm in Hong Kong. I was on VPN, which means my network was never going to be fast enough. Now, don't get me wrong. We didn't even have what's it called? The video, the new video option that they released. I wasn't even running that yet.
Yeah, video boost and
video
night
boost
sight video.
And all that. Yeah. So all of that wasn't even there. But just to run those type of services, you start struggling. And this is where that's why I got a little bit concerned with it. I would love for it to be on device.
Sure.
But the concern, though, what I was trying to lead to is all of those demos that they were showing us, they're not consumer demos. They're basically like a benchmark, right? You run the benchmark to prove something, but you don't run it all the time. We need to start seeing developers work on building things like that and setting it.
That's why I said, though, is that Samsung stands to be a chilling effect if they're not going to outfit. So we've got a couple of folks here in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to say, we've got Steve and Farhan talking about right now. We don't know. Steve is saying, I saw that the upcoming S24 Plus will have 12 gigs of RAM. Right now, the rumors are all over the place. That there could be
that a variant has 8 gigs. We don't know if that's going to be the base model too.
That's what we don't know. And there is another leaker that's saying even the Ultra could start at 8 gigs of RAM, and then one of the higher tiers is going to have 12 gigs of RAM. And that's what we need to figure out at Unpacked. If it's 12 gigs, then we're kind of in the same ballpark that we are with the Pixel. That's actually not terrible. It just limits what you can do forward thinking. So when MediaTek executives are saying like, hey, you can do 7 billion parameters on a device, but if you can step up to 16 gigs of RAM at the same tokens per second, you can go to like, 13 or 14 billion parameters. And then if you have even more RAM, like the Chinese version of the OnePlus 12 has an option for 24 gigs of RAM. That has nothing to do with your daily phone performance, even at the highest compute levels of rendering video or playing games.
Yeah.
But that 24 gigs of RAM is going to be future-proofed for unpacking 30 billion parameter language learning models on device.
Supposed to last you 5+ years with updates and so on.
That's
you
the
need to have
fear of Samsung even bumping up to 12 means that your S24 is not going to be as future-proofed if edge case of edge AI and Gen AI, if they start to take off, your S24 is going to be hamstrung. Your Pixel 8 Pro is going to be hamstrung. 12 gigs of RAM is not going to facilitate those higher ideas, those higher level uses. But you have Pixels and Samsungs kind of chilling that effect, so developers aren't likely to try and make those bigger, bolder bets on generative AI. So we're going to be stuck for a year of Android developers just kind of dipping a toe in. Just like we're going to play with, or, we'll do some things server side, and then that's death of the experience. As soon as you have to upload and download again, I've really not been as interested in Video Boost.
I don't turn it on. It's a tough.
I don't use it.
Because it's not instantaneous and it's not easy to correct with it, right? Like you create the content, you want to get it, turn it on, and it's kind of like almost like, oh, I'd like to see what it would look like, but I'd like to check it out later, and then you have to remember to when you see the notification that you need to click that to go on and to be able to see the pre and post. I think it's a good feature.
Yeah,
it needs a localized experience version of it. Even if it's not to the full extent, like a quick and easy version that runs in Google Photos or something like that.
It takes so long on the server side. So
especially with
you can't tell me that there couldn't be a mode where you tell the phone, I want you to run this processing overnight knowing that it's going to take longer than if they upload it to a server. But because you don't have to spend the time uploading and waiting in a server queue, it might be about the same amount of time just done on the phone.
On device.
The Pixel 8 Pro
yeah.
actually isn't as fast in some video editing capabilities as the Pixel 7 Pro. Tensor 3, only having the one big core, actually kind of falls behind on a few of these little individual tests that we can look at for content creation, but it's still a ridiculously powerful chip that you could give it a longer piece of data to chew on. Yep. Just say like, hey, I want to do this and I want it to do this. And that way I don't have to worry about data at all. And yeah, it's going to drain my battery, but I can make that choice because I'm a grown up.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's give us, we've always asked for, we need more user level controls. You said it many, many years. We needed more pro modes in cameras. We had answers from many, many different generations of executive engineers. Finally have it. It's there. We're getting more tactile pro modes. I think what we're seeing though is it's like because of this function, video boost is not going to be as popular of a feature on the Pixel 8 Pro.
Yeah.
And people getting it may not even realize it's there. That's the weird part about it. You know what I mean? Like they'll notice the speediness of the voice to text right away because it's on device. They'll notice how fast the assistant answers right on device. Sure. Dictation, really, really crazy good.
Call screening.
Call screening. Oh my God. Call screening every single time. I think that's going to be my number one thing that I'm going to miss once from
going to the Vivo. Yeah,
because like I would get calls and it wouldn't even ring the phone. I would just get a notification if the phone is on saying phone call screened, and then I think a couple of times we'll say, "Hey, this is DHL." It says caller said DHL. Would you like to answer? I click answer and I go. But if I don't, I just ignore it. Nothing happens.
Because also, I feel like it's worth pointing out, as far as I can see, Video Boost isn't magic.
No.
What you end up with are two video files where it records a slightly higher than 4K, or slightly higher than UHD. So it's recording literally 4,000 pixels across, not 3840. Okay. And it's recording it in something that looks a lot like log. And then it's getting run through LUTs and filters to bring up light information, color information, highlights, etc. And then it goes through a process that denoises it. Mm-hmm. There is no reason why you couldn't do a LUT on a phone with log footage and then use the same image stabilization. Because if you look at the footage that you get these two clips, so you can see how dramatic Video Boost is. The clip that they send up is not stabilized at all, because then once they do the edits, the stabilization done in post is better than what's rendered in real time from the camera gyros and the software crop stabilization. So you could do that on any phone. Like I've been doing software stabilization tests for 6 or 7 years now. Google Photos has a good, not the best, but a very good stabilizer plugin that you can run on any video clip you want. There's no reason why slapping on a LUT, changing some of the brightness and the contrast and the saturation, editing, filter some of that, and then do a pass on stabilizing it. That would take time. It's not going to be immediate. It would take time, but it should be able to run on a phone as powerful as the Pixel 8.
And I think that's going to be some of the challenges we'll see. But either way, so the concerns, I think, where we're referring to mostly with what we see with these benchmarks and so on, we do need to see more developers try to bring in some functional LLMs into our smartphones to make sense of what we are getting there. And then, of course, hopefully the company is going to actually put in enough hardware or, RAM and storage, obviously, and because the processing power is already there to leverage that. And I'd hope that we'll see some of those things come out in 2024, because that's the biggest push. You know what I mean? And I feel like till that comes out, till developers start supporting it, these type of hardware upgrades won't make as much sense to the user when they're trying to buy and maybe wanting to go to an Ultra or wanting to go to a Pro model of a phone. It's going to make some decisions for them.
I'm going to put this out here.
Sure.
I believe we're going to get to Samsung Unpacked. Base model is still going to be 8 gigs of RAM. And a lot of what Samsung is going to hype up is going to be in that sort of googly style presentation where they don't make a big deal out of the fact that this is server side. I think that's what their big play for this new era of AI is basically the same thing.
They're going to go Google.
It's basically going to be the same thing as the Pixel.
Well, that's
because
what I'm saying.
They also have to standardize the experience between Qualcomm and Exynos chipsets. And I guarantee you that the neural cores on an Exynos are not going to be hitting as hard as what Qualcomm is doing right now.
Okay.
I do not believe Samsung has the silicon on their side. So to make that experience consistent, where it's not just consistently bad for everyone, the safe play is do it server side. Then we don't need to have 16 to 24 gigs of RAM on the phone. We can charge people more for less specs than what's in like a OnePlus or a Vivo. It's going to be similar camera sensors, but maybe we can beef up the readout on the sensor so we can get better slow-mo or something like that. I think that's going to be their play. I think that's what they're going to do.
I'll say this. I do want to see faster readout on sensors. I'd love to be able to see 4K 120 come out.
I was on Lemmy, that Reddit, replacement federated stuff. And like everyone was like, oh, who even cares about 4K 120? And I had to like take my hat off and like sort of put my head between my knees and breathe for a second. Cause like, you've obviously never shot it because it's amazing. I'm with you there, but I feel like that's going to be the concession for the phone not doing things on device that other similarly or less expensive phones are going to do like that.
Yeah. No. I'm hopeful. We'll have to see what Samsung unpacks. The AI part was we'll have to see what Samsung's AI definition of AI is going to be.
And I wouldn't be this persnickety about it if their tagline for Unpacked was not a new era for mobile AI. Because I feel like that's already a lie. They're already not releasing a phone against the Xiaomi 14s and the Vivo X100s and the iQOO.
No. I think the reality what they're doing is they're competing. Remember, Samsung's, at least for our version of it, which the US model version of it at least, they're not competing with Xiaomi. They're not competing with Vivo because they don't see them in their same market. So to them, all they're competing with is their older version of a phone. So the 23 or the 24 is competing to the 23. And obviously some of those, leaks and stuff like that, talking about, Samsung copying, what's it called? Apple with the titanium, is it?
They're going titanium on the Ultra.
So, you know what I mean? Like those are the things that we're going to have to see. I think some people are going to be very happy if the flat surface or flat display does become a thing. I'm a little bit on both sides. I'm not going to deny the fact I like a little bit of a curve on the side on a premium flagship, but I also do appreciate a flat display. Like I like it. It's just a little bit of an edge on the side.
I kind of wish the Vivo were built a little more like the iQOO.
Like I was about to say, I knew.
I like that the iQOO is flat on flat. It's real nice. I like it a lot. And same thing like the Xiaomi 13 that I have. Yeah. Flat sides, flat screen. I've liked that better since Sony did it and went back to even the Xperia 1 Mark II had flat sides again. So I'm kind of on that train, and I'm old and I don't want to get off that train.
Yeah, speaking of Sony, we'll have to see what Sony does at some point because I'm assuming they're also going to go earlier too.
Man, I'm actually nervous that Sony might not have much support left for North America. We didn't get the Xperia 5.5. I'm really anxious that they might limit even more. Like, so it takes even longer, or there are fewer models made, fewer units made to ship here to the United States. I'm very nervous about that. But I don't have much voice left, so we should.
No. I was about to say we covered all of the other stuff going on. But I do want to touch real quick on a couple of things that you're working and finishing up. I know your voice is also going, but I'm like pitching it back to you. Pitching it back to you, the other side. So you're playing with a couple of pieces of tech. One from Xebec, which I got a chance to play with not that long ago, and I think this is their new. I'm assuming this is their new setup. So this
is the Xebec Snap.
Oh
snap, yo! Oh snap!
Oh snap! Wait, hold on a second. How small? I thought that was. Is it too small? Wait, what is that?
Okay, so you got to play with the Xebec triple.
The triple,
the tri or whatever they call it.
It's two displays, but it basically with the computer it basically becomes two. Yeah, so let's go. Let you go.
So this is the Xebec Snap, which is the evolution of that idea, where there's a bracket. So this is literally called the Xebec bracket, and it's got these flip out panels that have these data connections. Let's see if I can get it to focus on me and a little closer so it's on my face.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah,
these
I see
little
the pins.
pogo pin style connectors, but they have these magnetic crosses, and it's a telescoping bracket, so it kind of snaps against the monitor. And then it's got a little kickstand. I have this upside down, so that's why it's awkward right now. It's got a little kickstand, just like, you know, some of these other monitors that kind of clip, so you can kind of balance it all out. And then you get individual 1080p displays that also have these little magnetic attachments.
Yeah, I remember.
So that you can snap it right to this, and then it stays put. Cool thing about this is the system is already accounting for people who would like to do things like quickly go into portrait mode. So you can snap, pop it. It's instantly recognized by the computer. You go, oh, well, I'd rather have that be landscape again. Snap it, pop it off, and then put it on. And this way,
if you want to reverse it, you want to flip it over to it. It looks like, because you can work it on both sides. Yep.
So the cool thing is, you can buy this Snap system with a single monitor or a dual monitor, but then you're not married to using it only on one side of your laptop.
Yep.
So like say you're against a wall and you want to have that dual display, you can just stick out one screen, or you can buy both and have a triple monitor setup. And then it's USB-C cables that are routed along the sides of the frame. And power pass through up to 100 watts. So it can charge screens while you're going. And then it all folds up. You just throw it in your laptop bag. This is pretty handy. Been very happy with this whole idea as a system. So the other thing that they're looking at doing, and I'm not spoiling anything here from my video, this is something they've put on their website. They're looking at other accessories that they can make magnetic. So one of the things that they've got is a little, it's a Qi 2 charger. So that's incorrect. They should not be doing that. But you can magnetically stick a phone to this and it'll charge off that same power passer. That's not a bad idea.
It's like if you're running it like on the neck stock, you snap that onto the neck stock.
Yeah.
And then now it becomes...
wireless charging is awful though, and no one should use it. So I think that's bad. But the other things that they're looking at are other, just like one of the accessories they're considering is like a fill light. So if you're a streamer, you can have a second monitor out and then a fill light that illuminates you better while you're streaming or you're in the middle of a video conference or something like that. They've got a speaker that they're considering. It's like a big sound bar that kind of, it goes vertical, but it's sort of next to your laptop. That would maybe give you better audio.
Dude, the possibilities are crazy. Yeah, you're right. All the different accessories.
So as long as they're holding to the same system, I don't see where there'd be, like, I feel like you never buy based on the potential of what they might do in the future. What Xebec says this does, it does really well.
Yeah.
But I would love to see maybe a mini stand so that you can use the monitor as a more traditional standalone display and snap it into like a little USB adapter. Or if you want to hook it up to a phone, well, you can't really use this with a phone as easily if you have like a desktop mode, but you could make this system a bit more modular. So
you could run it as
I already really like
a separate display, because when I was using my setup, I would have one monitor connected to the PC, the second,
and then I can route the other one over to like my Steam
because
Deck
it's individual cables,
like
right? You don't have. I mean, you can run them connected, but you're able to run them independent because they're not really. They're not running the. Yes, it's absolutely flexible. It's really cool, and I love the fact that this is the configuration. Also, it lets you allow you to actually have, if you want to have, maybe if they have different sizes displays, you can do like a 14 and a 13 or 14 and a 15 extra monitor in there. So it from that sense, the system that I have becomes more just basically like a one solution type of thing, which works perfectly fine. It's just mine is a lot thicker and a lot wider. So yours is more smaller. You're able to fit it better in your suitcase as well. That's the other function.
Well, because it all disassembles in a way, and so they sell. The same spot. I don't have it over here. It looks like just an old tablet pouch, but it's a 2-sleeve tablet pouch for the monitors. It's pretty sweet. I mean, to that same point, like I'm not sure what those pogo pins support, but if you can get options for 4K displays and you could do something like that,
that's what I was talking about, like upgradability down the road. The potential is there, but you're right. It's a potential. We need to see how
then you don't have to worry. So like the Xebec triple, and there are a bunch of other lower cost solutions for sticking 2 monitors onto the back of your laptop, but they're all in one folding frame. And if you damage one of those monitors, the whole thing's dead. So here, if you damage one of the monitors, you can replace it because it is a separate component. It's built on the same system. So, I mean, they're not cheap, but it's not like the entire thing becomes garbage if one small part of it breaks.
I appreciate their build quality with the setup that I had. And I think with mine, I did have a problem with the first unit they sent me because it was pre-production, but then after that, it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. So I'm glad.
It's boutique-y, but this has been really well built from a smaller sort of, not Kickstarter-y, but, crowdfunded kind of company. You can tell a lot of thought and a lot of iteration has already gone into these designs. So I'm hopefully going to have a video out on that pretty soon too. And then just to wrap it up, both of us have been playing with the really big batteries.
Yeah.
Like those
especially for the company that you have. I played with their much bigger. The one that can run
igloo cooler and larger kinds of batteries. So All Power's sent over a little guy. This is the R600, and it's this is a 299 watt hour battery. So it is a little on the bigger side. Oh, I've got something just fell off of it. Oh, this is something that was on my NOS. Okay. This is a little on the chunkier side for 299 watt hour, but it's what we're seeing are those expanded capabilities from the more expensive solutions that are starting to trickle down, things like using this as an uninterruptible power supply, better input output. You can charge it ridiculously fast. Like you can top this whole thing off in under an hour plugged into an AC unit. It supports up to 400 watt solar panels, which is a lot for something this size. And again, I feel like they've done this incorrectly where the top of it has a wireless charger. So
it's an All Power thing. They've done that even from generation years ago.
They should never do that.
Thing has a wireless charger on the top.
This just encourages people to use wireless charging. I feel like that's incorrect. They shouldn't do that. They should get rid of it so that people use better charging. And my video just froze as we're wrapping this all up.
That's how you do it. Okay,
I love it. By the skin of my teeth.
The other one, or you want to stay with?
Yeah, I'll reset this here. So ready, go.
Okay. So the biggest thing I'll probably say. Hold on, let me just set it up here. And Juan is gone. We'll have him come back in a few seconds. So a lot of things kind of going on. I'll say this: January, although it doesn't look like it yet, is going to be at least for me right now, a super crazy busy month.
Yeah.
So much stuff coming up, guys. So many things coming up that I can't really talk about right now yet, but hopefully very soon. A lot of exciting stuff. We already have some exciting stuff with the X100, and of course, with some of the stuff that Juan's been playing with. I'm playing with the PlayStation Portal. I'm playing with, different tech, Keychron keyboards and so on. And
tell me, how hard it's been not to import a OnePlus 12. I've been wanting to just get my hands on one.
When I got the email, and I was like, okay, I saw that, and I was like, $100 off on the OnePlus 12. I can get it in the white color, because that's the other thing. We don't know what colors we're going to get.
I have no idea.
In the international variant. This is the biggest thing. Last year we had white color. The last time we had the white version, which was a pearl white, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was on the OnePlus 6 Pro. And that was the one we got. It was a limited edition, came out very rare at the launch event. But there's a lot of things coming up. Okay, we saw Redmi's starting to launch phones. We're starting to see what's it called, Xiaomi. I don't know when, but Samsung. We'll see OnePlus. We'll see other companies as well. Moto, I'm pretty sure, is right around the corner. I don't think Moto's going to wait too long. So next week, hopefully, we'll find some cool tech. And if I do find anything really, really cool, like last year, I'll say this. One of my coolest things that I found last year at CES 2023, which is something that we got a chance to play with. Yeah, the Polys.
The Polys, those are great. Yeah,
the Poly, kick ass. My favorite travel buds anywhere. They work on anything and everything works. But yes, we'll be back. The audio version of the podcast will be coming out hopefully within the next day or so, unedited with all of our little hiccups and misses and beautiful moments that we've had here.
Awesome.
I
Just
wish you
great.
guys all a prosperous and amazing 2024. It's the start of it. We're barely kicking it off. Make sure to catch Juan back on Monday with the SGGQA. I'm assuming we're back up on track on that point.
Back on track.
From vacation, and we'll be back here. We'll see you guys next week with more cool stuff to talk about, because I'll be back fresh from CES the day of, and we'll just we'll go through the whole thing, and we'll talk, and we'll do a podcast and cover all that tech. So be safe, stay safe, and of course, we'll see you next week for another episode of the Best of Our Week.